loyal companions await. One place stands as their beacon of hope. The Pet Resource Center of Hillsborough County, where you can adopt your very own superhero. Adopt a dog. Find your sidekick and unlock the power of unconditional love. Suit up, show up, and adopt today. For more information, visit hcfl.gov/pets.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the October 8th meeting of the Hillsborough TPO. It's good to see everybody here. If you would, please remember to silence your electronic devices, and please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to ask the recording secretary to please call the roll.
Good morning, TPO board. Ross?
Here.
Wolstel? Here. Miller?
Here.
Myers?
Here.
Cohen?
Here.
Bowles?
Here.
Clendenin?
Here.
Hurtak?
Here.
Carlson?
Here.
Mayor Nate Gilton is excused. School board member Lynn Gray is excused. Klug? Klug? Stevens?
Here.
Slater?
Here.
Hartfield?
Present.
Joseph?
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Board members, has everybody had an opportunity to review our minutes from our September 10th meeting? And if so, is there a motion?
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Clendenin, seconded by Commissioner Wastel. Any discussion of the minutes? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No nays. The minutes are adopted. Public comment. I currently have one request to speak from Phil Compton. I don't know if Mr. Compton is online or present here. And is Mr. Compton online?
I am not seeing him online, sir.
I'm sorry, what'd they say? Not there, okay.
I am not seeing him online.
Okay, very good, thank you. That's the only request we have. So we will move on to committee reports. Mr. Fernandez, our CAC Chair. Mr. Fernandez, you're recognized. Is Mr. Fernandez online?
He is not.
Okay. Harmony McGee from TPO staff. Good morning, Ms. McGee.
Good morning, Harmony McGee, TPO staff. Regarding today's action items, the Technical Advisory Committee unanimously approved HART Section 5307 and Fixed Guideway 5309/5337 tip amendments. There was a request for clarification on the funding sources. Committee members also asked whether shelters being replaced in historic Ybor would reflect the area's historic aesthetic. TPO staff confirmed that they would. Additionally, a question was raised about whether the streetcar would remain fare-free, and staff noted that the City of Tampa plans to continue efforts to keep it that way. Public comments were received via email and on social media. In response to the Day of Remembrance Walk of Silence event, Corleen Finley shared an email about the loss of her son in a pedestrian crash on Trapnell Road in Plant City in 2020. She expressed concern about worsening traffic conditions and safety challenges, noting increased development and the difficulty of crossing the road safely. Dave Coleman responded to our social media posts encouraging community members to attend the event. On Facebook, Eric Page asked whether cities or counties could receive tax incentives based on the number of residents who use sustainable transportation, such as public transit, walking, biking, or electric vehicles. Finally, all committees were asked to identify intersections where they have seen or experienced box blocking. The intersections suggested included Hillsborough in Florida, Hillsborough and Highland, Beers in the I-275 southbound entrance, Wilder in Florida, Osborne in Florida, MLK and US 301, especially during special events, State Road 60 and Kingsway Road, Ashley Drive and Kennedy Boulevard, Ashley Drive to East Jackson Street, particularly that vehicles block the intersection in the morning and evening due to the signal backups and turning conflicts. North Nebraska and East Kennedy Boulevard, notably left turns are often blocked by cars lining up from North Meridian Avenue. This concludes my report.
Thank you, board members. Any questions for Ms. McGee? Thank you very much. Staff, has Mr. Fernandez logged in?
I am not seeing him online.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Wong, do you have anybody from staff who could present the CAC report?
Yes, Sarah Caper is the CAC liaison, and she can deliver the committee report.
Okay, very good. Good morning, Ms. Capers.
Good morning, Sarah Caper, TPO staff. The Citizens Advisory Committee met on October 1st, 2025, and they acted on one item, tip amendments for the HART Section 5307 and Fixed Guideway 5309, 5337. This item was presented by TPO staff. CAC members noted they are glad to see the HVAC system replacements, asked questions about routine maintenance, the current bus fleet, and which stops are prioritized for replacement. The CAC voted unanimously to recommend the TPO board approve the tip amendments. While not an action item, CAC members had questions on the HART Comprehensive Operations Analysis update, and they provided extensive feedback to HART staff on the outreach efforts, working with the base, and impacts to current riders. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Capers. Board members, any questions? Thank you very much. Next, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Okay, who made the motion? Motion by Board Member Stevens, seconded by Commissioner Wastel. All those in favor say aye. 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 Opposed? No nays. Consent agenda is adopted. Next up is a tip amendment to HART Sections 5307 and Fixed Guideway 5309/5337. And Elizabeth Watkins from TPO staff is here to explain.
Good morning. Elizabeth Watkins, TPO staff. There are two tip amendments before you today, both dealing with the two formula funds that HART receives directly from the Federal Transit Administration every year. The first of which are HART's Section 5307 funds. Again, these are formula funds allocated annually and used for capital expenditures. HART intends to replace and rehabilitate the HVAC units at two of their facilities, as well as continue to keep their fleet in a state of good repair and continue to purchase compressed natural gas vehicles. Additionally, some of that revenue will go to their bus stop basic transit infrastructure program, which focuses on keeping their bus stops in a state of good repair, so to replace shelters, other amenities for the nearly 3,000 stops in the HART system. And lastly, some of this revenue will be used to upgrade the IT equipment. So here are just a few images of the current shelters that HART use, very modern design and protects riders from the elements. And the change before you is to update the tip page to reflect how much HART expects to receive annually. And that's about $25 million to use for those capital expenses. Moving to the second program are the Fixed Guideway funds. So HART receives this 5309, 5337 because they operate the streetcar, and that fits within the definition of what a fixed guideway system is. FTA acknowledges in their programs that offering that fixed guideway service results in needing some specific funds to operate. So it's about $1.3 million a year to go towards capital expenses. And with this allocation, HART intends to use it to replace some of the roofs on the streetcar stations in historic Ybor. They are wood, given the historic nature. You can see from these images the shingles and the soffit need replacement, so HART intends to replace those with these funds. So the change before you is to update the tip page to reflect that $1.3 million grant to make those changes. So the recommended action before you today is to approve by roll call vote these amendments, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Watkins. Board members, other questions? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Clendenin, seconded by Commissioner Wastel. Would you please call the roll?
Ross,
Yes.
Wolstel,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Cohen,
Yes.
Bowles,
Yes.
Clendenin,
Yes.
Hurtak,
Yes.
Carlson. I'm sorry, Carlson? Yes. Thank you. Stevens?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Thank you. Hartfield?
Yes.
Joseph?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Klug has joined the meeting as well.
All right, would you like me to call him as well?
Yes.
Klug?
Yes.
All right, motion carried.
Thank you. Next item is a Regional Infrastructure Accelerator Grant Update and MOU Execution. We have Christine Kefauver and Colin Peppard here from HTNB Corp. Good morning again.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. Christine Kefauver with the HNTB and my colleague Colin. We've been working with the Tampa Bay Partnership and the City of Tampa on the execution of this grant. We'll drill down a little bit on the context and the content of the grant and where we're headed moving forward. I was chosen to help work on this project because I work closely with the region on other historic projects in this area, and I've so enjoyed working with the region on this conversation. This is separate from the conversations ongoing on creating and evaluating a combined MPO in the area, but it does complement what we're doing in the region and looking at transportation from a regional perspective. So thank you again for inviting us to be part of today's presentation. So why are we here? The Tampa Bay Regional Infrastructure Accelerator Project, that was a grant that the City of Tampa pursued with the Build America Bureau about 2 years ago. The good news here is that it was a $1.75 million grant, of which there's no local match for. And the intent is for the Build America Bureau, they know that they have tools up at the United States Department of Transportation on innovative financing, innovative funding of transportation projects, but recognize that maybe that was a kept secret inside of Washington, D.C., and not many people knew about the many tools in the toolkit. So about 10 years ago, in the reauthorization bill, they established the RIA program, Regional Infrastructure Accelerator, to really help regional and local governments better understand the tools of the toolkit. So 2 years ago, the City of Tampa pursued that grant, were successful. They selected HNTB to help get the word out and work with the region on executing. And Colin brings a tremendous amount of wealth of knowledge to this experience. He helped San Diego move forward on projects there as well. So he, this is a relatively new program in the regions, and he has worked closely already with another regional area to be successful. So the mission of the RIA is to really work collectively with the region. It's to convene regional partners to identify opportunities for innovative funding, financing, and delivery strategies. I want to make it very clear we're not talking about additional funding that we can bring. This grant isn't to match existing dollars. It's figuring out ways that we can take the priorities that have already been established in Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough County to help get them to the street, whether it's through innovative financing or innovative delivery. So the participants are you all. It's everyone in the community, quite frankly, in the three-county area, both public and private. We've met directly with a lot of you here at the table to figure out the identification of regional priorities that really do make sense in moving forward. And the focus of this is very multimodal in nature, so that we're not just talking about one technology, one mode, but how do we move forward in the many, many needs that have already been identified for this region. So, I spoke to this. We had a kickoff event on August 12th, so just about 2 months ago at the airport. Michael, thank you so much for your hospitality for that. We had about 100 community leaders throughout the three-county region kicking off this project to understand what it is. There we handed out this document, and this is available on our website, and it really does break down. We're going to talk through some acronyms along the way, different funding opportunity or financing opportunities. So this is a really great resource for those that are there, and also for those who may want to grab it from our website, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So what we really want to do is help this region create the catalyst for a handful of projects to move forward, looking at innovative financing or delivery. Are there opportunities for public-private partnership? We have many partners here today that have experience in delivering for their regions. So we are partnering with the Build America Bureau, part of the United States Department of Transportation, Office of the Secretary. And Morteza, the CEO or the Executive Director of Build America Bureau, joined us at our kickoff, which I think is very honorable for him to spend his time to come down to the Tampa Bay area to kick this off. And we've been very proud of the opportunity to work with them. Once again, this office specializes in kind of that center of expertise and looking at how we can get projects out into the marketplace by looking at things above and beyond pay-as-you-go. And part of the contract with HNTB is to be technical experts, to be able to help work through some challenging opportunities in the area. So if you have questions above and beyond our presentation today, we are absolutely here to be available to you. We've been working very closely with Johnny and his team on that. The Build America Bureau really wants to establish the streamline to access the federal grant programs and federal credit programs. You know, sometimes that's offered at, you know, an interest rate that beats where you can get anywhere else if you're looking to finance a project moving forward. And once again, that technical assistance on the Build America program, that is what we're here for. And once again, we'll share the website, which I think will provide a good overview as well. So the overview of what we're doing here, we're going to identify projects and really assess which ones of those would be eligible to move forward to really do a deep dive on these projects. A quick glance, we created a geographic information system that captures the entire 3-county area. And there we aggregated all the projects that have been established as a priority within each of the MPOs and TPOs. Once again, multimodal in approach. So we've identified those. They're mapped in the GIS program. We're out and about regularly talking to stakeholders, and it's not just the public sector, it's the private sector as well to determine, are there opportunities for that public-private partnership? Where is their willingness to work together to move projects forward? And quite frankly, make projects financially feasible through that partnership. The eligibility for projects, Colin will talk through that a little bit as well, which ones really can be accelerated. We're here, technical assistance. We have a nice little 2-minute video summary of the kickoff on our website. There's some examples and case studies of what projects have been executed around the United States as part of the RIA that might be useful for you all. There's a Georgia 400 project that's a highway project that incorporated BRT. There is the Denver Union Station project that really did some value capture to allow transportation improvements as well as intermodal improvements and additional office buildings. And then how do we kind of get to that financing solution? Once again, taking it beyond pay-as-you-go. With that, I'm going to hand it off to Colin to talk through the project identification and screening.
Sure. Thanks so much, Christine. So again, Colin Papard with HNTB, and I work across the country actually on projects that involve innovative funding, financing, innovative delivery models, thinking about how to help move projects forward that are out of the box, don't fit neatly into the kind of typical funding approaches that we use. So the City of Tampa, Christine mentioned, originally secured this grant and has been working with the Tampa Bay Partnership to make it more regional in scope. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the process that we're using to ground what Christine was talking about conceptually to actually identify these projects. I'll try and move quickly so that we can get to any questions that you might have. But we really started off with a global view, looking at a regional project list drawn from the projects that have been identified in the plans and programs of many of the regional partners, the MPOs, the airport, Florida DOT, District 7, thinking about what should we be looking at globally. For each of these phases, we're applying a set of screening criteria that I'll get to on the next slide and asking to what extent does this project match or fit with these screening criteria. And just to be very clear, it's not in any way meant to reprioritize or be a substitute for the existing plans and programs, those efforts that have already taken place, but really looking for where is the intersection of the Venn diagram between projects that are priorities for the region and projects that match nicely with these innovative funding, financing, and delivery models that we're screening for. So taking this regional project list, we use these screening criteria to bring it down to what we're calling a long list of projects, which is probably going to be about 12 to 15 projects, and then do a more detailed analysis after collecting some data and information, developing some assumptions, doing some financial assessments to understand which of these strategies fit best with the individual projects and what's the order of magnitude of potential benefit. That will then lead us to a project shortlist of 4 to 6 projects, and those will subject to additional, more detailed analysis to actually develop a pathway forward, a roadmap for advancing the project with a better understanding of where the potential benefits might lie financially, from a policy standpoint, from a public benefit standpoint, with some ideas of how to use those Build America tools that Christine talked about to actually leverage some innovative sources of funding and move the projects forward. So that's kind of our general process. The criteria that we're using, they kind of fit in a few big buckets. And we can go through each of these, but the key thing here is that for each of the criteria, we're looking at different measures of these criteria at increasing levels of detail throughout each of those screening steps. So alignment with regional policy goals and public benefits, public endorsement and support, project development readiness. Now, this is important because a lot of folks have said, well, maybe a project's just not ready because it hasn't had funding attached to it. And that is okay. The programs that we're looking at with the Build America Bureau do require a certain amount of project readiness to move forward. So we want to focus on those that are more ready. However, we're hoping this tool also identifies those projects that could be prioritized for additional development work, feasibility analyses, alternative analyses, to advance their readiness so that they could be a better fit for some of these programs in a short period of time. Funding commitment and capacity, understanding what funding is already available for these projects, and then capacity is really if there are innovative funding solutions like sharing in lease revenues or other types of user fees, tax increment financing. What is the actual capacity of the asset to help create that new revenue stream? And then layered on top of that, what's the financial revenue capacity? Meaning what level of potential financing could those revenue streams ultimately support? Private market potential is about, is there an appetite for the private sector to participate in delivering and potentially operating and running these projects, either in a short or long-term horizon? And then finally, and importantly, eligibility for the Build America Bureau financing tools in the first place. While we don't have to use these tools for the projects that move forward, there is an emphasis, obviously, since it's Build America Bureau funded for, hopefully they're looking for us to use their tools. So for the shortlisted projects that we identify, again, all of this is in collaboration with project stakeholders, the participants that are signing on to the MOU here, working with them to help understand the project, define the appropriate assumptions, gather feedback, and ultimately reflect that in the analysis. But really what we're looking is, again, what is the potential benefit of this project? And then what is the order of magnitude in terms of how we can accelerate it, how we can move it forward, leveraging these innovative funding and financing tools, innovative project delivery methods, to give a picture of, if we were to use these tools, this is what the world could look like. And so it's not meant to be a level of financial analysis that is CFO ready, but it's trying to help us understand how we can use these tools to prioritize and advance these projects in a structured and thoughtful way. We will be looking at project delivery models, so thinking about public-private partnerships, thinking about collaborative delivery models like pre-development agreements, innovative ways that we can leverage private sector resources to move projects forward. And then finally, we're going to be looking at governance. And really what this is about is that a lot of these, if they are truly regional projects, might require partnerships between agencies to actually move them forward. It might not be a single agency that's best suited to move a project forward. And so is there an opportunity for governance structures that can bring together multiple agencies to help support and move a project forward? And that'll kind of be the compendium of analysis that we'll include in the ultimate report that we bring forward at the end of the study. So these are just on the left here, some of the traditional funding and financing tools that we've seen used in the Tampa region. The ones on the right are the ones that we're going to be looking at. We can go into that in greater detail, but these are different forms of asset monetization and value capture, very commonly used in where there's real estate development involved or opportunities for commercial development. And then on the other side, these are the financing tools of the Build America Bureau, TIFIA, RIF. They're low-interest credit programs that have extremely flexible terms that are geared specifically towards transportation infrastructure and have been very useful around the country. Private activity bonds essentially gives private sector infrastructure investors access to municipal bond-like terms in terms of delivering projects. And then P3s, this is something that's not new in Florida, but maybe new to the region, and really involves a partnership of a public sector agency and a private developer to jointly deliver a project. Those P3s, we can talk about a little bit more, but the common way that these come together is that the private sector partner helps to design, build, bring their own equity and debt to finance, and then takes a long-term operational and maintenance view on the asset. And these can be anything from roadways to intermodal centers to airport facilities. I just actually moved out of Los Angeles, where LAX has used public-private partnerships to significantly invest in its central terminal area, including a new airport people mover to move people in and out of the central terminal area, and a new consolidated rental car facility, and leveraging potential revenues from these different assets to accelerate those, really with a view of delivering them before the 2028 Olympics that are coming to Los Angeles. So that's just one example. Many others in Florida around the country of how P3s have been used to accelerate or deliver projects that otherwise might not have been possible. In terms of innovative delivery, we talked about P3s. Collaborative approaches, really something that's gained some steam in the last 5 or 10 years. And this involves bringing project partners on early to help co-develop projects. More common in the real estate space than in the infrastructure space, but it's growing in use in the infrastructure space. And it brings the benefit of early contractor involvement to think through constructability issues, to help reduce costs, reduce risks, but also from a development standpoint, ways to enhance revenues or find new ancillary revenue streams that can help to support the ultimate project's delivery. And then project bundling is something that we've been finding to be increasingly powerful, especially in rural areas, where you have a number of assets that on their own don't either meet the eligibility criteria for these programs or on an individual basis don't show the cost benefit. But when you start to aggregate them, you can find economies of scale that are actually quite powerful in terms of reducing the costs and schedule of the program, and also do make them attractive for these types of either private investments or the use of the Build America programs. So we've had success with programs like this in places like Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, and other places, largely focused on bridges, but increasingly focused on highway assets as well. And this is the Pennsylvania and Oklahoma case study. I'll move through that quickly. So here's our kind of general timeline of when you can expect the different milestones to be delivered in terms of the long list, the short list, and the ultimate report. At each of these milestones, we'd be seeking MOU participant feedback on, are we looking at the right criteria? Are we assessing the projects appropriately? Do these reflect your policy goals, the public support that you're a better judge of that than we are. So we see it as a partnership where we're looking for your feedback throughout. And then the findings and action plan report hopefully provides a roadmap for individual agencies to work either on their own or to partner together to continue to accelerate these projects moving forward. So with that, I'll hand it back to Christine to wrap things up.
Yes, thank you, Colin. So, really, you've seen, many of you have already seen us out and about in the community having these conversations. It is really regional in context. We're looking to have a list of projects to advance for the opportunities to execute and accelerate. The implementation roadmap, that's that last product that Colin referenced. And then really looking at the governance model of the RIA. So this is new to the Tampa Bay area. I mentioned that the city of Tampa pursued the grant, but they said this is a larger conversation than just the city. It's important that it is a regional conversation, and that is why we are working with each of the regional MPOs and project owners to look for the best projects to move forward. So in your agenda package was a draft memorandum of understanding, and this is a deliverable that is required by the Build America Bureau to be able to move the RIA forward. And in essence, it's our guiding principles. It's the rules of engagement. It's ensuring that in a non-binding agreement that all participants, the MPOs, the transit agencies, whoever wants to sign on the MOU, in essence is saying, we're going to share information. We are going to work collaboratively together. We are going to be timely in that execution. And we look forward to moving forward the projects that really do make the most sense for this region. At the end of the day, the goals of this is hopefully to continue to enhance that regional collaboration. We look for ways to strengthen project delivery. That highway project you saw on the public-private partnership is I-4 through downtown Orlando, where the state did use a P3 model for that. And they really did advance years, decades, before it would have been able to be funded in a traditional method. And then all of us to seek innovation. We know that delivering transportation is expensive, it's hard, and it takes a long time. So how do we use the RIA and the Build America Bureau to be able to advance those in a more timely manner? I mentioned the Tampa Bay RIA website, so it is live. If you'd like to get your phone out and just click on that QR code, it's the tampabayria.com. It is where we are keeping that document or that website up to date. You can go to it at any time and get new information. We're finding about 40, 50, 60 people a week are going to the website to learn more about what we're doing here. Once again, reinforcing we're not talking about new funding, but figuring out ways to execute on priority projects already. So this is a snapshot of the 3-county GIS tool that we developed as part of this, recognizing that our friends in Pasco County may not be as familiar with projects here in Hillsborough County and vice versa. So you can sort by county, you can sort by mode. Once you click on the project, as we move projects further along in the process, there'll be more details on that furthest right column on the project. So with that, you do have the MOU was in your agenda package. I'm going to leave it to Johnny and the chairman. We're here to answer any questions and seek consideration of the MOU.
Thank you very much. Dr. Wong?
Yes, just as a reminder, Board, the recommended action is to authorize execution of the MOU.
Yes, very good. So prior to a motion, are there any questions for the presenters? Yes, Mr. Slater.
I just want to say I'm really happy to see this come to this region. First of all, good to see you, Colin. Colin and I first worked together 10 years ago when he was with LA Metro, so I'm sure it was a long flight in. But it's really good to see a conversation around innovative delivery and innovative financing. When Colin and I first met, we were both tasked with delivering really big infrastructure projects that nobody knew how to pay for and nobody knew how to deliver. We have a lot of those in this region, and it might not be the solution for all of them, but we should at least have a conversation about how we can deliver infrastructure that we need today sooner than waiting 20 years or waiting 30 years. And I think that's the value of this program is one, regional collaboration, but two, let's just have a conversation about different ways. If we can capture value somewhere, if we can come together and deliver something, if we can think differently about how to deliver something, I think we should always have that conversation.
Just my observation on that is even if we just learn how these tools work and how to leverage them, we're hoping that there's some great ideas that come out of this report, but the more people in this region understand how these tools work, how they can be leveraged, how they can be used, we have a broader view on how to do this, not just with this set of projects, but projects moving forward.
Councilmember Hertag?
It's fine.
Okay.
Thank you very much. What are your plans? I know you said you've met with some folks, but I think it's imperative to meet with every member of the TPOs, of all the TPOs, for that very reason. I think an individual sit down is critical. So what are your plans to do that?
So we've been coordinating with your staff. So the city staff, we meet with, because the city staff is actually, the city is the recipient of the grant. So we are here to meet with whomever would like. So if you would like, we're happy. My contact information's on the website, and I'll be happy to reach out to you as well.
Yes, again, and not just for me, I really believe that every single TPO member should sit down. I mean, that you should reach out to all of us to set up a meeting so that we truly understand these finance mechanisms, different ways, talking about projects, talking about different things we can do. I think each of us has a very unique perspective, and I think everyone's perspective will help make this successful.
Thank you. Do that.
Board Member Hartfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Christine and Colleen. So in looking at the proposed MOU, who are the members that you'd like to connect with to execute on this MOU?
Good question. We start off with you as the MPO and the TPOs in the region.
Me singularly, Gary Hartfield, or
absolutely. The more the merrier, quite frankly.
I'm teasing. Go ahead.
So we define participants in this are transportation agencies, planning agency, local governments, and other government entities that intend to collaborate on the Tampa Bay area and participate in its activities. The more that come to the table, everyone is welcomed, right? It's not just the planning entities, it's the implementing entities as well. But at the end of the day, it's just the guiding principles and rules of engagement for us to move forward, and a requirement by the Build America Bureau and the establishment of the RIA. It is a non-binding agreement, and I hope if you've had a chance to read through it, you will find that it is all about collaboration, cooperation, and I failed to mention this before. This is all in the sunshine, right? Every document that will be produced as part of this is for everyone to share and use moving forward, as Colin mentioned. So.
Oh, wait, Commissioner Wassel had a question first.
Which is
Well, he was first and then you next.
It's fine.
Commissioner Wassel.
Hi, thank you. That was very informational. I have an item that I've been for some time now trying to wrap my head and arms around kind of to bring forward. It's not yet on the LRTP, but 3 years ago, and this is specifically about the BAB and whether or not my item would be considered an eligible funding candidate. 3 years ago, I got kind of laughed out of the room for my promotion of saying that if you really wanted to fix transit and transportation issues, you need to get on board with AV. And fast forward 3 years, well, that's, I'm the one laughing if you're not following cyber taxi in Austin. I mean, it's incredible. I believe that that's probably the only real solution to fix the I-4 corridor, which is going to take FDOT's partnership at some point. But there is a lot of, and Mr. Slater and I have talked about that at this board, that there is a lot of infrastructure to vehicle communication devices that assist in AV functioning. And do you believe that that is something that would be eligible under this BAB? I've never heard of this until Dr. Wong briefed me, but do you believe that that's a direction I could brainstorm on improving the local infrastructure to vehicle assets that would promote that and maybe promote, Cyber Taxi's goal, which they're closing in on, is to get around 60 cents per mile of cost. To put that in context, Uber and Lyft are usually $2.50 to $3.50, maybe a little bit more here. I could be off a little bit. But, those are that's the type of number that you can't ignore. And their goal is to eventually sell those cyber taxis. It used to sound like a pipe dream, but it is not. I believe that it is the future of transit and transportation. And to sell those to local, basically, franchises probably, do you think that AV would be eligible?
So I'm going to be true to form and a good consultant and say it depends.
Okay.
Let's dive into it. So For Build America, the Build America Bureau is a department of the U.S. Department of Transportation, and the programs that it administers, the projects need to be eligible under Title 23, which is the transportation funding title of U.S. Code. So highways, transit's actually in Title 49, but it's pulled in. So there are a very defined set of eligibilities that we can look at. And ITS, Intelligent Transportation Systems, is one of those. Transit obviously is one of those as well. We've actually gotten a lot of questions about whether connected and autonomous vehicles meet those eligibility definitions, and it really depends on the context in which they're being used and what the funding is going to be used specifically for. If it's for vehicles that are going to be privately owned, probably not. However, we're working on 2 different projects with different sponsors to implement autonomous shuttle networks that would be sponsored by a public agency, but delivered by a private partner that actually owns and developed the technology that's driving these systems. And those types of systems absolutely would be eligible for this. There's a lot of gray area in the middle in terms of, again, what is actually being funded or financed in terms of infrastructure, because it's typically for hard assets, not rolling stock or vehicles. And then who's going to own them? Are they publicly owned? Are they privately owned? Who's going to use them? So the short answer is yes in certain cases.
And just to be clear, I was specifically, as a free market capitalist, they need to buy their own vehicles and their own cyber taxis. But there are considerable enhancements to the infrastructure side, which is more clear signage, a certain type of signage that's more reflective for their sensors, nodes, electrodes that are basically in the concrete that communicate to them. More well-painted lineage helps an AV vehicle navigate, including sidewalks, which is an important safety feature. So do you think that outside of
those types
things,
of enhancements would absolutely be eligible for something like this? As Christine mentioned, this isn't funding, these are financing tools. So you could imagine an arrangement, and I'm not saying that this is feasible, but just
we've said innovative
here, right?
50 times in the briefing, so
well, I just don't want to make promises I can't deliver.
Yes.
But the point is that you could imagine if Cyber Taxi or some other sponsor that wants to a private entity that wants to manage a shared taxi network like this, but needs some embedded infrastructure in the roads, that they could agree to a small fee on rides or something like that, and that could provide the security to use these different financing tools to invest in the public infrastructure, the V2X technology, et cetera, that would allow them to operate more effectively and efficiently. A concept like that is something that would be interesting to explore.
Okay. Well, I would work with any Tampa City Council person that is interested in that, because I think the city of Tampa is really the only logical place for it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilmember Carlson.
I'll work with you on that. It's interesting. I think I mentioned in the last meeting I was at over the summer. I was in the Middle East and in particular in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Saudi Arabia, places that are the biggest oil countries in the world, and they're all switching to electric vehicles, and they're trying to push toward autonomous vehicles, and they're launching the what do you call it, the little drones, the drones that take people. I want to go back to what Councilmember Hurtak said about talking to the leaders in the member governments. The old way of doing this, of building consensus, was to go to 10 organizations and check the box. Like, we approved this today, and it's easy to say, okay, we checked the box. But if you don't know what the people in the room are thinking, and each of these groups represents different transportation agencies, if you don't know what the people in the room are thinking, then you might have the vote, but you don't have consensus. Just in my career, I'm getting old, but in my career, I've seen lots of different iterations of this. You have some new tools that you're bringing to the table, but it's not like this is the first time that anybody's tried to build consensus on transportation in the region. I think one reason to build consensus among the members of the different groups is because we need leadership. It shouldn't be one person standing out. It shouldn't be one city or one county standing out. That's one of the big mistakes that have been made in the past. We've had some good leaders and strong leaders, but sometimes if you step out too far, then you can get hit. There needs to be a groundswell. Also, you talked about public-private partnerships, and that's fine, but we've also seen proposals that were driven by one company or two companies, and the public doesn't trust that, especially in this environment, and especially at the City of Tampa, because the public feels burned on other projects in the past. And so a key thing I would focus on is not just building consensus with the member governments, but also building trust with the public that the process is pure. There are some third-party agencies that have been involved in efforts like this in the past that have done the opposite. They've because they checked the box, they use old school tactics, they eroded trust, and that even though there were some good leaders, it took away their ability to hit something. Also, since debt is one of your big tools, I would make sure you look at the financial statements of each of the member governments as well. City of Tampa is almost at a debt crisis right now, and so I'm trying to figure out how to reduce the debt. And transparency is part of that. At the city, we've been trying to, from our own people, we've been trying to get the real number on what the debt is, and we just got it after 2 or 3 years of asking. We just finally got the number of the total debt, and it's pretty scary. And so as a lead agency, it's not like the City of Tampa can turn around and say, okay, we'll take on $5 billion in debt, or even a few $100 million in debt. So I would just encourage you to try to build consensus and not use any of the old school tactics on this. And if you want to look to a great example, even though it's 30 years old, Tampa Bay Water is the only success we've had as a region. And that was all shaking hands, meeting with people, building consensus throughout the region. Thank you.
Commissioner Cohen.
Thanks. I want to just add on to what Councilman Carlson and Councilwoman Hurtak said about meeting with everybody. The 3 county commissions, Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough, have started to meet quarterly. And our next meeting is going to be at the airport, I think, in the next few weeks. But I think that you should really make an attempt to get on that agenda, and I'll be happy to help you do that. Because I think that the commissioners from those counties particularly should be given the same invitation that you sort of have given to us. Because I think at the very root of this, we're going to have to get over, there are certain things on which, like the Tampa Bay Water analogy, the county's interests may be actually at odds with one another, or different regional governments' interests are not exactly aligned. And we have to work through those issues. And the only way we can do it is to have everybody at the table. If everybody is not at the table, the solution will go forward, and then it'll all blow up later because a critical element of it was missing. And so just in the spirit of that, I think that would be a great way to reach out to these county governments that are clearly going to have a big stake in this, and financially are probably going to bear much of the burden of it, most of the projects.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Klug.
Yes. Just a quick comment to address some other comments in the room today is that Christine and your group did meet with the poor last week, and we brought our tenants in, and they also told us if you had any questions, talk to Greg Slater. So, but anyway, this is something that we looked at. We have a lot of needs of the port. One of them is shipyards. We're looking at a maritime prosperity zone, working with DOD on that, but also this is another avenue that potentially could help us with their expansion and also maintenance of those shipyards. Good paying jobs in the port. We need those for those Jones Act vessels, but also we have a good opportunity to expand and build upon that. But thank you for your efforts on that. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Klug. If there are no other comments or questions, Councilmember Clendenin, did you still desire to make a motion?
Second.
Well, let him state.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Clendenin, seconded by Commissioner Wastel. Any comments or discussion of the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye. 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 Opposed? No nays. MOU is adopted. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have a status report regarding HART's comprehensive operations analysis update. Jesus Peraza Garcia is here from HART to explain. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning, Chair Ross, TPO board members, Dr. Wong. My name is Jesus Peraza Garcia, HART staff. Today I will present why we're proposing some changes to the network right now, the HART network. I'll go over each proposed change route by route and also how we're engaging the public to get their feedback. HART's currently reviewing our bus network, and we're proposing route changes for the summer of 2026. These proposed adjustments are designed as a trade-off, meaning that we are hoping to reallocate our limited resources toward and put them in places where they can succeed best, which will make HART more efficient and productive. And we're also currently accepting feedback about these changes. Since July of last year, we have been conducting something that's called a Comprehensive Operational Analysis, or COA. It is a full review of the entire system to identify strengths and weaknesses. And it results in short-term improvements, things like realigning routes, changing frequency, changing hours. And the purpose is to impact quality of service for riders and quality of life for operators. Those improvements are cost neutral, meaning they do not cost additional money, but they also do not save money. No new funding is assumed. It is best practice to conduct a COA every 5 to 7 years. This review right now is particularly important because it's the first one since COVID. We're looking to ensure that we're still serving the entire community in the best way since that big world change. While the COA is only about the short term, we also have something called the Transit Development Plan, or TDP, which is our 10-year vision for how we would like to expand with future growth. The TDP includes a list of unfunded needs, which lets us prioritize the potential improvements based on, oh, thank you, 6'4". So the TDP is a list of unfunded needs that would let us prioritize the improvements if new funding becomes available. We will be doing a major update of the TDP next year, so we'll be coming back out to the community to talk about the future vision. So the COA is the foundation of the TDP. The TDP is the first 10 years of the LRTP transit component. So these things, they're not the same, but they're all related in a way. So the routes with proposed changes include improvements to 2 routes, Route 9 on 15th Street and 30th Street, and Route 34 on Hillsborough Avenue. Since these slides were published, there's been a slight change. So aside of Route 9, we're also considering Route 38, which is Seffner, Mango, Brandon area. Though it's either or, we cannot do both, but we're looking at those 2 routes now based on preliminary feedback. As for the other proposed changes, we have adjustments to Route 7 in West Tampa, Route 46 on Brandon Boulevard, and Route 37 in Brandon Park area. And lastly, the removal of 3 routes, Route 24LX on Fishhawk, South Tampa, Route 25LX from Bloomingdale to South Tampa, and the Hartflex, South County. So there are some proposed reductions here, and we do not take these decisions lightly, but we hope to reallocate those buses and hours to places where we have more demand, which will make the biggest difference to riders. Please note that the changes on the slide are just a proposal. All of this is subject to change based on public input. I will now talk through each route one by one. So for the improvements, we have Route 9, increasing frequency from every 60 minutes to every 30 minutes. So either 9 or 38, they're both hourly routes, and the proposal is to increase one of them to every 30 minutes. In the case of Route 9, this would provide better service for the almost 700 trips that take place on Route 9 every day. One of our main goals with this project was to improve our hourly routes, which is why we're juggling 2 options, because both are very strong candidates for these improvements. And improving hourly routes is key because the more frequent the route is, the less people have to wait for their transfer, so your trip time is reduced. We also project that this type of improvement for these 2 routes in particular would mean 200 more trips per day for either one. The other improvement is Route 34. It would be to have greater reliability by adjusting the schedule to arrive on time more often. Currently, Route 34 comes every 20 minutes, but is often late due to traffic. To keep that frequency at every 30 minutes, we need another vehicle to combat traffic so that the bus arrives when it is supposed to. This route is one of the top 4 most used routes in the system with 2,700 trips per day. Next, we have a route adjustment to Route 37. the loop to HCC Brandon campus would be removed, and the route would stay on Falkenberg Road. This change would make the trip quicker for the 10 people that are on board on average who are not going to HCC Brandon. For those going to HCC Brandon, which is about 1 person per trip compared to 10, the alternative is a half-mile walk from Falkenberg Road. We are proposing to reduce the span of service on 2 routes. Route 7, the last eastbound trip at 11:25 p.m. departing towards Marion Transit Center, would be removed 7 days a week. The reason behind this, and the same applies to both 7 and 46, is that this last trip, sometimes there's 1 person on board for the whole trip. Sometimes the bus is completely empty this late at night for these 2 routes in particular. So that's the reason behind it. For Route 46, it would be the last westbound trip, departing at 10:45 p.m., heading towards Brandon Mall. It would be removed 7 days a week. 2 of the limited express routes from the Brandon area to South Tampa would no longer be in service. These are Route 24LX and 25LX. These 2 routes are some of the least productive routes in the system. And for these riders, they have alternatives. They could use Route 360LX out of the J.C. Hanley park and ride to take them to downtown or the Air Force Base. Or there's also the Vanpool program, formerly run by TBARDA, currently run by PSDA. Lastly, the Hartflex South County would no longer be in service. This route has the lowest ridership and the least productivity in the entire system. There's only about 2 people per hour on this route. For those who qualify, Sunshine Line would be an alternative if this route goes away to travel in the Sun City Center and Waimama areas. So public feedback is important. It will help us determine how to best meet the community's needs. So please help us spread the word. That's what I'm here. That's why I'm here today, to ask you to please help us spread the word. There are many ways to submit feedback. You have the flyers in front of you. They have all the information, not just the summary of the changes, but also all the public meetings, all the means to provide feedback. A great way to submit feedback is through our webpage. That's the QR code, heartserviceinput.com. It is a one-stop shop. It has all the info. There is an online form to submit comments directly through there. All the maps and flyers are there with the proposed changes, the schedule of all the public meetings, and the webpage is in both English and Spanish. People can also call HART customer service. They can email us. We have an email just for this, feedback@gohart.org. They can send us mail, physical mail, for those who still do that. Or they can attend one of our public meetings. So you can see on the screen, we have a different, 2 weeks ago we had a round of open houses and virtual town halls and posting at transit transfer centers. This week we're doing another round. I was at an open house yesterday at Bloomingdale Library. I have another one tomorrow at Waimama Senior Center. There's a virtual town hall going on as we speak in English, and there's one in Spanish this afternoon. Yours truly will be speaking there. Additionally, we have HART staff and consultant staff posted or making blitz at park and rides and riding the routes affected to provide flyers and collect comments. All comments will be considered equally regardless of how we get them, whether you fill out a handwritten note, a comment card, or you call customer service, or you email us, or you go to a public meeting or to the public hearing. It's all the same. Comments will be accepted until October 15th at 7 p.m., which is the conclusion of the public hearing at the HART office in Ybor, a week from today. And I want to take this time to thank the TPO for providing us with consultant support to conduct this big outreach effort. It's been great working with that consulting team. So for next steps, the slides disappeared on me, but oh, there they are. For next steps, as I said, we're currently accepting feedback about these changes until a week from today, so there's still 7 days to go. After the public input period closes, HART staff will review the comments and make adjustments to the plans as needed. The HART board will do a final approval of the service changes in February of 2026, and if approved, the changes will be implemented in June of next year. We will be coming back to the TPO in February to present the outcome of the outreach efforts, and in May to promote the service changes. With that, I thank you for your time, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Westall?
Thank you. Excellent report, Mr. Garcia. this is, as you know, this is a long time coming for me. I've been beating the drum on some of these routes for 2 years now almost, and I understand there's a process that's required to go through, and unions are involved. And just so there's some context here, I've been making this claim for a while that the unincorporated area just simply lacks the density to support many of these routes. One of them were put in place, and when I asked 2 years ago, why are we spending revenue on one of these LX routes, the only reason I got an honest answer, which is not how things should be done, but they are politically for some reason, and it's frustrating, is because I was a veteran, and I'll elaborate. So evidently one of these routes was pushed for over a decade ago by a group of commissioned officers on MacDill, which I have all respect in the world for. But we were literally punishing everybody else that actually depends on HART for high income earning individuals that chose to live in Fishhawk far away from their place of employment. I don't believe that that's an appropriate use of government funds. I'm glad to see these routes are being removed. I will say, though, that it further reinforces my angst about the taxation. I see that Commissioner District 4 is here, that the taxation on District 4 is disproportional to where the services are actually provided. Not that it's an attack on them, but simply because they don't have the density to support this funding of transit. I will say, though, I'll have a private follow-up. I'm surprised to see Route 41 wasn't on this list, and maybe you probably have data that can rationalize your thinking about, or whoever's thinking about why. That 41 is the one from Brandon Mall all the way down to Sun City Center, right?
31.
31, thank you. 31.
US
Okay.
Highway 41, but the route is 31.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. A little dyslexia there, maybe. I'm not sure. But maybe we can just follow up. I'll get with CEO Drainsville, and you and I can connect, and you can walk me through like how that route wasn't on there. But anyways, I'll digress. Does this need a motion?
No,
or
it's a status update.
Cool. Well, thank you very much again. And I think more changes are to come for improvements. Thank you.
If I may, Chair Ross, to build on that. So yes, Route 31, just briefly, we can have a separate follow-up. It's a high need area. Like there's a college campus, and the Amazon is a big employer. So getting rid of that route would completely isolate that area. Gibsonton Drive is somewhat disadvantaged. That's the only route on South US 301. That little segment between Bloomingdale Ave and Boyette Road. For the county versus city conversation, that's why Route 38 came to be part of the conversation. Route 38 is a county route. Part of it is in District 4. The Brandon Hospital is District 4. Parsons Avenue is District 4. So it's a very strong candidate along with Route 9. So that's why it's part of the conversation.
Yeah, but the last I checked, specifically staying to Route 31, not these other ones, it had abysmal ridership.
It's towards the bottom, yeah.
Okay, that was the context there. Thank you.
But our system is, one of the things we learned with this project was our system is not, there are not like awful underperformers. Like it's a fairly highly performing system. There are a few that are like towards the lower end of the spectrum, but it's still high up there.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cohen.
Thank you. I have never served on the HART board, and I am not in any way an expert on the system. I'm not going to answer that. But I just want to highlight the fact that municipal boundaries, imaginary lines that we set, don't always provide the full picture. And one of the things I'm concerned about in this discussion related to HART that is ongoing, when we lump together the entire unincorporated area in one way, it doesn't take into account that in fact in Town and Country, for example, you have a lot of people that depend on the bus, and the ridership is very robust. So I just wanted to just provide a cautionary note against a blanket statement, because while I agree that the ridership levels in District 4 are very low, it does seem that in the western part of the county, it's a different experience.
Board Member Joseph?
Yeah, I just had some quick questions about the engagement that you've been seeing down in Waimama and Sun City Center. We're doing a lot of expansion of urban service boundaries, those invisible lines, but what that really means is we're going from about 1 unit per acre to 4 residential units per acre down there. So we're really densifying down there, and we're looking at a lot of other places out in different areas of the county from the Planning Commission at densifying. So I'm just wondering what the conversations are from the public down there. I know when we started talking about the urban service area expansion, we were getting a lot of agita from the people down there. They weren't too happy about what was happening. So I'm just wondering, now that we're pulling back services, what's the sentiment that you're getting down there in the meetings?
Well, from those who used it, they're upset, of course. Some people understand. One writer I spoke to a couple weeks ago, she told me I'm usually the only one on the bus, on the South County Flex. As for development, there is always the problem of chicken and egg, right? Because what type of development are we talking about? If it's like suburban, like fenced off subdivisions with gates. Somebody brought up the fact that maybe we should serve different roads, not only State Road 674, but that's where the uses are. And the other roads are just the gates to the communities. So it's really hard to serve.
Okay, and really I was kind of wondering about the numbers, like the quantity of people. Are you seeing large numbers of people? Obviously the people who are losing routes are going to be upset and those sorts of things, but I'm wondering, is there like a large community outcry about this, or are you just noticing it's, you know?
Well, I haven't looked at the comment log recently.
Okay.
I can tell you about the events I attended. There was one person per event in South County. One of them told me she's going to come to tomorrow's open house with all her friends. So I'll let you know more.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Garcia, I have one question. I'll try to keep it brief, but you said you do a operations analysis every 5 to 7 years. How do you, can you tell us quickly how you do that? I mean, are you just somebody writing down the ridership numbers for each route? Or, I mean, how do you compile this information and work through this analysis?
So we do that on a regular, the data compilation. Like we report ridership data on a monthly basis. We have devices on the buses that count passengers. So we have like this database ongoing. And then the study itself is looking at it comprehensively, not just system-wide, by stop, by route, but also looking at other data points like development patterns and demographics and things like that.
So the reason I ask is I too am not on the HART board, and no, I do not want to be. And I don't mean to insert ourselves into the HART board or into HART operations, because I don't know that much about it. I've never run a transit agency. But it seems to me today, with the cost of AI tools that's available, the relatively low cost of that you could overlay AI on, because you can get ridership numbers for a route, but they might not be the same ridership numbers for the whole route, right? They might get on here and get off here, so your ridership numbers for that route look robust, but they're all riding this part of the route, or vice versa, or, you know, so, I mean, there's all kinds of data that if you had AI looking at this real time, because you have cameras on the buses, and you could also tap into the Planning Commission, you know, what's going on, what development is, what density is coming to, and AI could probably spit out in real time or fractions of a second recommendations for, you know, maybe our bus is too big on this route, or it's too small, or maybe we need more frequency on it. You can't change this you can't constantly change routes. People need to be able to depend on it, but you could constantly be looking at efficiency improvement in your system. And I don't mean this as a dig to HART, I really don't. But every organization, every one of ours, you can always find slack in the system. There's always, right, there's always some improvements that can be made. And for an agency that runs as lean as HART does, I think really discovering those and capturing, being as lean and efficient as you can be would really be important to you guys. And so I know there's an upfront cost of, I know I got to get AI, but I don't think that's as cost prohibitive as it once was. And so just 2 cents for something that I know very little about. So.
Thank
yes.
you.
Councilmember Carlson.
Same thing, I haven't served on Hart Board. I've watched from afar. Hart.
Seems like everybody wants to here.
No. But Hart, so Hart has had its share of bad press and has been through a lot of CEOs. I know there's a relatively new CEO and very good people in the room here who were on the board. I just wonder, what was the Hart board vote on this? Was it unanimous? And is there anybody in the room who voted against it? And if so, could we hear from them maybe what?
So the first step, the approval from the Hart board that took place last month was just to do outreach. It's policy that if we want to do an effort like this, we need to get approval from the board. So they were not approving the service changes themselves. They were approving us going out to the community. And there were comments about the changes, but nobody opposed the changes.
Okay. Very good. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Garcia.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Wong, Executive Director's Report.
Thank you, board members. I'll lead off with some good news. In September, the statewide planning conference, or statewide conference for planning professionals, awarded the TPO with a project award, a grassroots project award for our Clean Air Monitoring Network initiative. Some of you who have been on this board for a while may remember that we won an EPA grant several years ago. That initiative was fully funded by the federal government with a discretionary award. And in the years since we have taken that project on, we have worked with a number of communities along the interstates to get them access to low-cost air monitoring devices so that they can better track the air quality in their neighborhoods and see how transportation and other factors affect the air that they breathe. As far as administrative business, the field trip organized for board members to go visit Metroplan Orlando, again, which is one of the state's multi-county MPOs, will be held on Monday, October 27th. All of the folks who have RSVP'd have already made travel arrangements. Just a reminder to those folks who are coming, lunch will be on staff, so you don't have to do anything other than show up and give me your order. The next regular TPO board meeting will be on Monday, November 10th, not the Wednesday. We had a conflict with another local government meeting of which I can't recall, so just a heads up, that is on Monday, November 10th. The Regional Merger Study Principles Workshop is by invitation only. That will be a publicly noticed meeting held at Collaborative Labs of St. Pete College on Friday, November 14th. The topic will be discussions of the regional merger study, specifically looking at some options for apportionment plan and governance structure. We've sent out invites to every elected official across the entire Tri-County area. There was one day at which no local government had a meeting, and so we booked it. November 14th, we're looking at start time of early afternoon. And I will close by saying that today is National Walk to School Day, and I want to share some info on that. National Walk to School Day has 35 schools across the district participating. I want to specifically spotlight Roosevelt Elementary, which is down in Palmacia. Roosevelt Elementary and the Palmacia residents have hosted a student walking program for 10 years. Over that time period, and by working with a nonprofit group, a local nonprofit called the Sidewalk Stompers, Roosevelt was able to secure new crosswalks, stop signs, crossing guards, and help the approximately 300 students who walk to school every Wednesday. Any questions for me, board members?
Good, thank you. Any questions to Commissioner Bowles?
Yes, Dr. Wong. Related to the Clean Air Monitoring Network, that network was set up with the 275 expansion. Was that primarily where that was focused on?
There are regulatory monitors that the Environmental Protection Commission has. These are static stations that track air quality. Our intention was to fill in the gaps in areas where there's density that may not have close proximity to an air monitor. Our focus has been mostly along the interstates, so we work with communities 275 north up to like the USF area, and a few communities on 75 and I-4. The project is nearing a close, but we still do have some budget. if any of you would like to recommend another neighborhood or another organization or community that you think might like to participate, it's not too late to name them. However, when the money runs out, the effort will expire.
And how is that funded primarily?
Through an EPA grant primarily. We also received a state grant for that.
Secretary Hall, when FDOT is looking to expand the 275 from Hillsborough north, which we know is happening, well, it seems to be, I say that, I said we know, we don't know anything, which seems to be the case. How soon do we expect that to start? 2 years?
No, I would say, you're talking about north of the interchange?
Yeah.
It'll be behind, so we've got the West Shore interchange, and then I need to do some widening between the West Shore interchange and downtown Tampa. So that section to the north will lag behind those two projects.
Okay.
So, I mean, just being honest, I'd say 10 years.
Yeah, okay. So, all right, thank you.
And I'll tell you, just so you know, I mean, because this becomes a debate quite often, and even when we were doing the work on 275, there was a debate about the interstate. And so we do air quality monitoring ourselves. You know, we're required by the NEPA policy, the federal policy, to do air quality monitoring. So, and the state of Florida is in attainment. So, but anyway, yeah, it's at least 10 years away.
All right, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Councilmember Hurtak.
Thank you. I don't know, it is, the November 14th is not on my calendar, so maybe you might need to send another invite specifically to us.
Yes, sure thing. The consultant team is responsible for sending out the invites. There's a survey that comes along with the RSVP, but I'll check in with them after this meeting and make sure that they get it to everyone.
It might just be good to send it through the TPO, because oftentimes if it's, we may not have known it was part of a TPO initiative, is what I'm saying.
You're right.
Also, there's no time on it, and an invitation without a time goes into my maybe file, and it really is helpful to nail down exactly when you want us there.
Yeah, the save the dates went out a couple weeks ago when we locked in November 14th, but over the past couple weeks, we're still working on logistics with collaborative labs and the timing. So I'll share that now. We're looking at around a 1 o'clock to 1:30 start time, and should be expecting anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. But I will follow up with the team and make sure that those save the dates or the calendar invites get on your calendar.
Okay, any old or new business? I just have one remark to make. I want to thank Mayor Castro, I'm assuming was involved, but our colleagues at the City of Tampa for spearheading this RIA project and bringing that to the area. Thank you for Tampa taking the lead on that. That's something that could be beneficial to the whole region, but it wouldn't have happened without the City of Tampa, so thank you.
We have a good grant writer department. So
Well,
they
whoever's
did a good job.
responsible, we
Yeah.
want to thank you.
I'll
and
pass that along to them.
recognize you. Anything else to come before the board? If not, we will be adjourned.